best option I've found at this point, we use Apple devices, so I don't know about Android, but with Apple, you can have what they call downtime on the device. So whatever device it is, an iPad or iPhone, or they have the iTouch, which is kind of like the iPhone, but it doesn't have cell service. So that's an option, the iTouch. Now, the thing that's not great is that it still has lots of apps. But with downtime, you can block all the apps during downtime. So I set downtime for 23 hours and 59 minutes. You can't do 24 hours. It's not possible. So there's 1 minute during the day when the downtime, when all the apps are available, but the rest of the time they are all blocked. Then what I do is with the screen time password, they can request more time. So if they want to listen to an audiobook, they have to come and ask me. And then I give them access. You have two options, essentially. Well, three options. I usually do one of two, for 15 minutes or for an hour. The other option is all day. I never do that one. So they'll come to me and say, I want to listen to my audiobook. If I want, I can ask what audiobook it is. And especially with my 13-year-old, well, even with my 10-year-old, okay, well, I want you to work on some chores while you're listening to it. And for him, I do 15 minutes. So I let him listen for 15 minutes. And then he comes back to me after 15 minutes to check in. And then I give him another 15 minutes so he stays active working on chores. But if say like with my 10-year-old, she'll earn audiobook time by doing her studies or whatever, doing a chore, cleaning her room, whatever it is. And then I'll give her an hour of time. And then she has 1 hour. And then when it's done, it shuts off. So I don't worry, because what used to happen is, I want to listen to my audiobook. I'm like, okay. And then I give it to her. And then 5 hours later, I find her,
watching movies.
and
watching it too.
movies on you or watching videos on YouTube, right? So this way, with downtime, so that everything else is blocked, I give access to one app for the allotted amount of time that I choose, and then it shuts down. And if they want more time, they have to come and ask me, and I can check in and I can see if it's a good time for that or whatnot. So unfortunately, Julie got disconnected.
No, she's back. She's back.
I know.
Oh.
So she may have missed the whole answer though.
Oh.
So you can only, yeah.
Yep.
So essentially they only get access to one app that I give them access to. So that's how I do it with any of my children that are under the age of 17. We have found that if they just have unlimited access, then they lose motivation to do other things. I feel the need to control it so that I want that to happen, but I also then want them to stay connected to the real world. And especially if I want them to be productive and do things and not just sit around the whole day. So for me, and I did a whole podcast episode. Did we do a podcast episode about this? Yes. Last week's episode was all about this. How I get my teens to willingly do chores. This is what I do with my older teens. They will willingly do chores. Like anything I ask, they do it. My 13-year-old, not so much. My 10-year-old depends. So with this strategy where he doesn't have unlimited access to it all the time and gets lost for hours in a fantasy world, he gets to have that as the reward or the reason to do all the chores I ask him to do. So it works pretty well, honestly. We want him to want to do chores and to do work. Not that doing work is always enjoyable or pleasurable, but you want to have this overall positive association with it. So by motivating him by something he really wants, which is fantasy audiobooks, and then having him do the work while he's listening to an audiobook is literally creating this positive association with working.
Yeah.
It's not conscious per se, but it's literally being wired into his body so that he now associates building tables or washing the dishes or whatever with some sort
positive feelings.
Of good feelings, because he's feeling good things while he's listening, if that makes sense. Because they feel this a positive association overall with doing the work and doing the jobs that mom and dad ask. It's a positive connection, right? Like there's a positive connection there. In one of my favorite books, Atomic Habits by James Clear, he walks through that entire process. Like that's how you create the habits you want, is by connecting them with positive things. And he gave this little example that stood out to me. But he said, I guess he said something like when they first invented toothpaste, like it didn't taste good. It just was like, I don't know, baking soda or something. Like it was disgusting. And of course, nobody wanted to use it or brush their teeth.
Even as much as they told them, like, this is good for you.
It's good for you. And the science behind it, nobody wanted to brush their teeth. But when they added something that made it taste good,
And fizzy, they made it fizzy.
then now it was a positive thing. And so people were like, oh, yeah, I'll brush my teeth. Simply by making it positive rather than slightly disgusting, change the habit. So we can do that same thing with our habits. And he talked, and well, and I kind of walked through that with the 28-day challenge, right? I'm talking about habit stacking and environment design. Like all of that's part of this neuroassociative conditioning, so that when you think about doing your habit, hopefully you've connected it to something else that's positive, so that you have this connection of positivity that's essentially what establishes habits long term.
And you love doing your habit.
Yeah, they become a positive force instead of a negative one.